Welcome to Tech Talk Weekly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is our weekly show where we take about 15-20 minutes to talk about some interesting tech stories in the news, give you a fun library fact, and get you on your way. If you have any stories that you'd like us to cover, Creation Station at broward.org comes right to me, and we'd be glad to take that up for you. Today, I've got David Rusk from out at Southwest Regional Library. How are you doing, sir?
I'm all right, Bob. How are you today?
Things are good. How is Southwest going right now?
Right now, it's going really good. School just got out. We have a lot of kids coming in.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Folks, if you have not been to Southwest Regional, it's insanely the three schools on campus,
I
middle
there
school, high school, and
are,
college.
yeah, we have Broward College campus. We have a high school and a middle school.
And when those
Nice
kids get
charter.
out of school and flood those front doors, you'll notice why there's no furniture in that area. They just they swamp that area. It's insane. I've been out there for so many events. It's a lot of fun. It's really a great space. All the way up. It's our far western branch. It's all the way out there. We've got some interesting stories this week. Some of them are pretty in depth, and some of them are more fun and interesting, I think. And starting with our first one here, everybody out there, what do you think is the number one AI, artificial intelligence company out there in the world right now? Take a guess. I know, David, you were surprised by this one when I shared it out, right?
Yeah, I really was. It's not somebody I would have expected.
It's John Deere, the tractor people. And that's why we had to show this one off for everybody. So this has been, everybody knows John Deere as a company. Even if you've never seen one of their tractors, you've at least heard of them. You've seen the gear, their logos, everything is out there. They're super popular that way. But they have some of the biggest, most expensive equipment on the planet out there for all this industrial farming that we do. That's one of these pictures right here, one of these big, huge rigs like this. Notice that picture. What's missing there, David?
It does not have a driver to it.
I
There's
know.
no, there's no one operating it. It's
Fully autonomous tractors that are out there in the United States right now and the rest of the world, actually, harvesting, going about their business, doing all the stuff, coordinating with drones, coordinating with everything else that's going on. And another thing that really caught my eye and why I was like, wow, NASA is looking for someone to help partner with driving around on the moon and driving around on Mars. And they went with John Deere, not Google, not Microsoft, not any other company, not Apple. They went with John Deere because they have the practical knowledge and did this. I was just like, wow. Have you seen any, when you get a chance to see this, where of these big, massive machines that cost, $250 million? Just wow.
I mean, just recently, my family and I, we took a trip up to South Dakota, and you're driving along the highway, you look out in the fields, and from a distance, we would joke around about, some of the tractors looking like they didn't have anyone in them. Well, now we got proof that more than likely there wasn't.
Yeah. And they're
And
paired up with
it's,
those drones. They've got drones flying overhead to pair up for just in case. Like you said, if some car goes off the road, they've got drones that can control the thing and make sure it doesn't hit into a car. They've got all the AI stuff, not only just in self-driving, by the way. And that's, as always, we'll put all the show notes in for you to come and read these articles that they can detect all the water, all the things that are growing, everything that's there, so they can easily and quickly make this happen for anyone and everyone to be able to use it.
didn't they have something on there that they were trying to develop a technology to scan and identify plants so that
Yeah.
like a future tractor would be able to pluck a
Uh-huh.
weed if it saw it.
Yeah. No, yeah. Instead of using Roundup or something like that and spraying it, they'll have something that can use its eyes, cameras, and detect which is a weed and which is a plant and actually pull the things that aren't supposed to be there in that field and keep them going.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that we don't always think about of who is really a tech company anymore and who's doing what to make things happen. Just like the library is not about books, we still have books. Don't worry about that. But we do a lot more than just books nowadays. And John Deere does a heck of a lot more than just make a tractor that can plow the land. Speaking of plowing, that was an interesting segue, huh? Wow. Um, we may be stuck on this planet, folks, and not for a good reason. So we've talked about this on the show about 4 months ago because there was a test of retrieving some space junk out there that was successful, and they have a new idea for how that might go. Um, and that is to, well, David, you tell me, what did you think about this one?
Um, I thought it was a cool idea. You don't know what you can clean up until you really know what's out there. And I thought I saw somewhere in there that they said there was like 36,000 satellites, but they could only track like 31,000. My numbers may be wrong, but
Yeah,
there was a
no,
large
yeah,
gap.
it's a huge, huge gap. I've got the
Yeah.
picture up also where you can see this is an astronomy image, someone taking nights, just a regular picture of the stars, and those two white streaks are from Starlink satellites. Starlink, the company that Elon Musk has out there to do satellite internet, and that's these satellites that are out there floating by and doing stuff, and we don't know where they all are because it's a private company and they aren't they stuff like that. So yeah,
With the idea of, private companies now wanting to start, taking people up into space and giving them a good view and everything. You don't know where all these satellites are, where they're going. You could end up right in their path.
yeah,
So I think that with what Wozniak and his company are doing, just to monitor it and find out where everything is and where it's going would be a really good first move.
yeah, and that's is let's see, what was the number that just went by here? They've got more than we know more than 2,000 of those Starlinks are up there right now. There's another one that's proposed 3,000 more of those, and that's just active satellites private companies are putting up, not alone all the previous things and all of that kind of stuff. It's just crazy. Here's that image that always, kind of drives home that point. There's the planet. Those are all satellites. Those are all ones we know about circling the planet and doing things. And think about every time we try to send something up and out of the planet, it's got to weave its way through those and or hope that it doesn't hit it as it's going up.
Now, this is, I think there was something else in the article that said a space of like a piece of space junk the size of a paint chip at the speeds that they're going it could wreck anything that's up there.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going 18,000 miles an hour. Yeah, it's insane. But that is why when these things happen, and you see all of the stuff going like all those any little shooting stars that you see at night, if you get a chance to go out and just look, you can see shooting stars any time of the day. Some of that is man-made stuff coming back down, little pieces of satellites, etc., that are just quickly burning up in the upper atmosphere. Very few of those things that are big enough to make it down to the ground. Nothing like an asteroid or things like that that are going to go out. And here was the first one that went up back in 2021, and they actually had it. They actually had to pause a launch because of a piece that was up there going, and they had to pause coming back just last week from the International Space Station, one time for weather in Florida and one time for space junk.
Hmm.
So it's getting to the point where to be safe. Now, space is big. Remember that, everybody. When we're talking close by, we're talking within hundreds of miles sometimes. But if one piece breaks and it doesn't just disappear, this is not Star Wars. No big fireball and everything just disintegrates into nothing. It's lots of little pieces. One big piece becomes tons of little pieces that just start on their own little trajectories all over the place. Ah. but we got to get off this rock. We got to find a way to make sure that we can get up and out of here. And then, and that turn the rest of that up there into that. We're not going to talk about web, but I promised myself I was not going to go there. Um, Webb's all James Webb Telescope's doing some really cool stuff, people. They're going to make another discovery here any day now. We're going to get cover it on the show. Don't worry about that.
Probably make just a whole episode on that telescope itself.
Oh, we did. We almost did one time. After it officially launched and was out there and it was starting to unveil, we just happened to be live while they were doing part of it, and I just had the little feed running. It was fun. And now for a story that's not quite as fun. Um, this is something that is out there that is going to be important for everybody in the world because you never know what could possibly happen if your internet were to go out. Whether your internet goes out because of a natural disaster, of a hurricane. We talked about it when Tonga had their volcano blow up, that they lost internet out there. This article here, and this is an really, really extensive article, and we're going to only be able to talk a little bit about this today. So definitely follow the show notes and go to it. But they talk about the idea that, right here is the thing, over the last 7 years in 60 different countries, there have been 935 times that the government has shut down the internet in a location to stop people from being able to talk to each other and find out what's really going on.
That idea in itself that the countries are just going to just shut everything down is kind of a scary thought.
Yeah.
People
Yeah,
in these
yeah, yeah.
countries they have no idea what's really going on. They can only rely on information that's being fed to them from their own government, and kind of like what we're seeing now. It's the stories from within those countries versus what everyone else sees. It's night and day. It's totally different.
Yeah. And it's one of the pull quotes here. It's not about it. You're not alone. There are other people who have your same thoughts who are doing the same thing, and it can be applied to a lot of different schools of thought, a lot of different political opinion, and everything like that. Knowing that there's someone else out there that's like you that you can communicate with and talk with, and share and know what's going on. That's what's important. I mean, and I'll draw the analogy to the libraries. Right now in the United States, nobody's turning off the internet yet, and I hope we never get to that point. But with the book bans and stuff, the libraries are there to help you get around that. You get your digital card from Broward County, and you can access any of those books if they're banned in your local area, whether you're in the state of Florida or beyond. Just like New York, Brooklyn Library is doing that same thing too.
And
But some of these here, yeah.
to say, even if we don't have that information on hand, we can always find it and get it for them.
Yes,
There's
exactly.
really no, I'm not gonna say there's no limit to what can be done through the libraries, but there's a
Yep.
lot that we can do for people.
And so here is a map. I'm going to show this little clip here that they've got, and it will walk you through different parts of the world over the last couple of years and how many of these blackouts have happened all around. And I want you to notice it's not all the global south. It's not all Africa, South Africa, India. Look at Great Britain. Great Britain did it. They shut down. They didn't turn off the internet. All they did was drive it down really, really slow, which might be just as bad for some people if you can't actually get in there and do it, if they throttle the speeds that you're available to get at. And so this is what I'm saying. This is something everybody should be aware of. Everybody needs to kind of think through your head. And at near the end of this story, they start talking about what do you have to do? How are you going to make this what's your emergency plan for this? You can't wait till it happens. Just like a hurricane, you can't wait till the hurricane's here to, go to Home Depot, go to Publix. You got to have your stuff ahead of time. Man.
I mean, it says somewhere in the article that I can't speak for the way other countries are done, but the way our internet has been laid out is that there's fail safes. You know, if one part of it
Mhm.
fails, the other parts of it are going to recover for it. You know,
Right.
they're going to pick up the slack. So if your local cable provider, you know, goes out, if you have an outage in your area, you can possibly go to, you know, your local library, a grocery store, a hotel, and any one of those may more than likely have some kind of internet access available for you.
Yeah. And we're gonna do and we do that. I mean, I failed to mention Cuba, 90 miles off of our coast here in Florida. They have done all of this same thing of blacking out, doing all the things, stopping people from seeing what's going on out there in the rest of the world. And this, as you can see, is I just keep, as we're talking, as David and I are going back and forth about this, I'm still just scrolling. This is a massive article that they did a tremendous amount of research and finding out exactly who everyone all around the world, all of the various places that you could possibly do. Notice on here, France, Germany, Japan. I mean, we're talking all countries all around the world. So don't think the United States is safe here, folks. We're on here too.
Yeah.
Um, and we're still going to be here and we're still going to be able to do it and we're still going to be able to get around and do these things as we're going through step by step by step. And you will, there's all sorts of detailed definitions here for you to be able to see exactly what you need if something in the article is a little bit off. Um, not as fun of a thing today, huh?
You know what? This article is kind of a downer. Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Just seeing what the outages have done and why they were done throughout some of these other countries. Um, but the other stuff I think is great.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. There's some really good stuff buried in this article about
Yeah.
how to get around this and how to solve for on your own and things like that to pay attention to that. But tell me what's going on out there for you. I'm going to share off of this. Let's hit up some fun, nice things. What's going on out there at Southwest Regional for
Right.
people?
Well, you know, starting in May, we're going to have a lot more programs that are coming out. Uh, we have a genealogy program that runs for 6 classes. You do have to sign up for it.
Is that
You
in
can
person or online?
in person.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I've taken the class before. The lady who runs it is really great. She actually, you know, helps you out, tells you all the different resources that you can use. Coming through the library, you have access to ancestry.com, so you can search through all their
Yeah,
records, which is very, very
it's a
helpful.
huge thing. And they just added the census data.
Yes.
The latest census data just came up for everything.
We do have citizenship classes that are both online and in person. Our youth services department has just upped their story time from twice a week to 3 times a week because it's, you know, it's an in-demand program. Starting on Saturdays, they're going to start Wags and Tails, which is when you can bring your child
Nice.
to therapy dogs.
That is excellent. I didn't know we were starting that up again. That is excellent. This is the
Uh,
first time I think since the pandemic we've been
I
able
was
to do those
excited to see that
programs.
one.
Yeah, that's
The
fun.
kids always love coming and reading to the animals.
Oh, come on now. It's not just the kids. Half the librarians seem to make it out there. As soon as the dogs show up at the front door, half the
Oh
librarians are
yeah,
out there.
everyone loves the dogs. On May 14th, we have a travel expo. Um, it's free to everybody. You don't have to register, but they do recommend it so they know how many people are going to be in attendance. And
There's going to be Creation Station gear for the travel expo there, so you can jump on Google Earth and see where you're going to travel to, wherever you want to go. You can pop in there and do it virtually.
yeah, we're going to have vendors, we're going to have seminars. You know, if you have any interest in traveling just over the summer, or if you're retiring and you want to do that in your retirement, come on by, talk to
Don't
whoever you
wait to
want.
retire. Travel now. Travel. Be
Yeah,
safe. Be careful. You know, we still need to, pay attention to things. But
very true.
yeah.
And then the last thing I have is on May 24th. Um, we have some people coming from the Broward County property appraisers to teach people like different tax exemptions that they can take when they're filing, like for homestead and things like that.
Oh, yeah,
So
that is going to be that is great. Yeah, and all these kinds of things, folks. That's just one library. You got to hit the library's website, broward.org/library/events, and you'll find all of these things and more out there so that we're busy. We're starting to really start hopping again, and Oceans of Possibilities happening. New library magazine just came out, and showing off a couple of the things we're going to be doing this summer. So pay attention, everyone. Thank you, Sir David, for being here. Really good to get a chance to hear everybody's point of view out here on these things.
oh, thank you. This has been a great opportunity. I liked it. Had fun.
I'm going to throw up our ending slide here for this. If you have somebody that you'd like to see featured or a particular library you want to see featured on the show, Creation Station at broward.org comes right to me, and we'll try and get that out there for you. Thank you guys all very much, and stay safe.